It's time for another edition of PRosé with Vicki Locke and Cindy Woolley from C2 Communications.
Hey everybody, sorry we're a little late to the party, but we're here. We're PRosé, where we're going to talk books and sip cocktails normally, but technical difficulties have kind of failed us, right, Cindy? And this is my second glass of bubbly because we've had so many problems.
It's technology. It's your best friend or your worst enemy. And technology, kids and dogs, right? You can't depend on them, right?
Right. Myra McElhaney was going to be our guest today, and she thought it was a Zoom situation, and it's not Zoom, so she didn't understand how to get in, and anyway, so we'll have her next week.
Absolutely. It'll be exciting to talk with her about margaritas and life, and Random Thing Moms Say was one of the books I was wanting to ask her about, because I know there's a lot of random things my mom says, and she's probably watching us, and they're going to start popping up in the chat. So, hi, Mom.
Yes. It's so funny. Last week I was saying to Cindy, who is this goofball talking about it's raining? Are there ducks there? And Cindy says, that's my mom. Oops.
Whoopsies.
Digging a hole there. Yeah. We wanted to have Myra on. She's written a book about the death of her husband and how she's pulled through. And she writes so beautifully and a lot of humor in it. Today is the anniversary of my father's death. It's been 7 years, I swear to you. It seems like yesterday. And Cindy just lost her brother, Spencer, unexpectedly in the past few weeks. So it's just been a tough time for a lot of people, especially with COVID and everything else that seems to be going on in Afghanistan. And there's just a lot of tragedy and rage going on right now. Don't you feel it?
Oh my goodness. You never know when saying the wrong thing is going to have someone explode on you. But I think that over the past month, since my brother's passing, which was July 24th, there's this sense of calm in me that says, okay, there's a short time here and I need to really be present for people. And so it's not a rage in me right now. It's a piece of man, we can all just get along every once in a while, right? Just
absolutely
bring it back together.
And Charlie Watts died today, member of the Rolling Stones, the drummer. He was 80. He died peacefully at his home in London. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know this, but he had been married for 57 years to his wife, Shirley. So when you think in the rock and roll world, you think that's just, they've had 6 or 7 spouses, but it's just lovely to hear that.
Are you kidding me? In the real world, just in everyday world, being married for 57 years, that's an accomplishment.
It is. Did you ever see the Rolling Stones? I think I saw their very first farewell tour when they played it in the 80s, maybe, but they just kept continuing. But
oh no, I never got into Rolling Stones. My first concert was my first concert was Garth Brooks, man.
Your first concert ever?
First concert ever was Garth Brooks, and shortly after that, it was Reba McEntire. Those were the iconic, singers and performers of my time. So,
where did you see Garth? What kind of venue? How many people?
It was in Tampa. It was an arena, whatever the Tampa complex is. I can't think of it. Tampa, Florida. And so, thousands and thousands of people, and we were in the nosebleeds up in the high seats. And my mom and I just got up and started dancing in the aisle with all the crazy drunk people. And, I was like 14.
I miss concerts. I was looking on social media. Some of my friends went to see Alanis Morissette in Atlanta, and it's like, oh my gosh, just to see a concert and to be with people outside. This was an outdoor venue, but it's just so many concerts are being canceled again because of COVID, especially, I guess, if they're indoor. But I just missed that, and hopefully we can get back to that again. What's your favorite concert ever? Was it Garth?
We did go see, I'm blanking on his name, the redhead.
Ed Sheeran?
Ed Sheeran. Oh my God, how do you forget that name, right? That was phenomenal. And it really, we saw
Do you
that.
like his new song, Bad Habits? I just love it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I love him. He's so, he's definitely polished, and he's got such a great PR story, how about his learning disability and the stutter.
Yeah.
And how he used Eminem's rapping to kill that stutter. And how cool is that?
I know. I think the best there's so many concerts I've seen in my life, but Prince was so good the first time I ever saw him. I really thought it had to be the album. It had to be an audio playing because the guitar, everything was just so perfect, but it wasn't. It was him. He was amazing. I've seen so many great shows. Elton John with Billy Joel, without Billy Joel. I actually saw, this will show you that I'm older than you, Cindy. I remember seeing Michael Jackson with his brothers at Cleveland Stadium. Cleveland Stadium. Talk about nosebleed. I could tell he was dancing, but he was like this big with his brothers. And that was like a great show that I saw. And that's back when WMMS and a lot of rock channels had to give in because dance music was just taking over.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can imagine because it's before your lifetime, right? Okay.
It's so funny because Michael Jackson was very controversial by the time I came to get to know him. So it's a love-hate with like, wow, the music's really great, but what a bizarre, creepy story that led up to some of that.
Yeah.
I will tell you that other venues, though, my sister used to go to school in Daytona Beach, and one week during Bike Week, Charlie Daniels was playing in a baseball field, and it was just everyone brought chairs and blankets, and I think that was hands down the best concert ever. If you've never heard Charlie Daniels play, he play a fiddle, that it takes you to a whole nother level.
Where was this? Was that Florida?
Daytona.
Oh, Daytona Beach? Wow.
Yeah. A whole bunch of
alcohol involved, or were you too young?
What? No.
Oh, that's right. Mom's watching. I forgot. Okay, how about we move on to you and Bridget went to see the Van Gogh exhibit.
Yes, let's move to some culture.
Yes.
We went to the Immersive Van Gogh experience, it's so funny because the advertising on that was so good. It felt like a lot of hype, a lot of like, wow, this is going to be a really intense experience. Like, oh, something you really moves. And I went online to look at tickets. And then a week later, I went online to look at tickets again, and they were sold out for 2 months. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get me some tickets. So I booked these tickets like 2 months in advance. While we were in New York, of course, everything shut down, and I could have walked in at any point, but I had bought these other tickets. So we waited and we went. And then it ironically got canceled. Our original tickets did because of storms. So we rebooked and we went down, and, not really sure what to expect other than, Van Gogh everywhere. And it just didn't hit the mark for me. It was like the music just didn't waft you into a story. It didn't whisk you into a whole nother world. It felt like you were still sitting there watching pretty slideshow. And the only thing that I can come up with is, we had literally just been to the Museum of Modern Art. We'd just been immersed in like this cultural mecca went to multiple museums in New York. And I was kind of like, man, Van Gogh in real life is so impressive.
Nothing like the real thing.
Nothing like the real thing. So I'm not going to diss it. I'm not going to say don't go. I'm going to say that, just have realistic expectations. And I think, having to wait a couple months for it just made me go, okay, this better be phantasmic. And I was like, not quite.
Not quite. Well, maybe we should bring up the question that you and I were discussing when we were trying to get Myra connected before our technical difficulties. Cindy's got kind of a dilemma, and maybe some of you out there, if you're still with us, can help her out. It's about how her daughter's friends are addressing her.
Oh, my goodness. Well, in the South, we put Miss in front of everything. I bet you're Miss Vicky all over the place, right?
Right.
And I used to be Miss Cindy when my daughter's, I was running my daughter's Girl Scout troop. But she's older now, and her friends are older, and they're so respectful, and yes, ma'am, this, and Miss Woolley that, and and I adore them. They're all so sweet. But I just do not feel like a Miss Woolley. And I feel like that's a little bit old, but then I also feel like Miss Cindy's a little young. Maybe I'm having a midlife crisis, my 40th year. So I challenged my daughter to come up with some nicknames. And she looked at me and she goes, okay, I'll start calling you Mima.
And you said, no.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I think Miss Cindy's fine. Like you said, in the South, moving from the Midwest, when I moved to the South, I remember everyone it was Mr. Mike to my husband and Miss Vicky. And at first I thought it was a little odd. And I'm just used to it and comfortable now. And I would think your daughter's 15. To me, she's a young lady. She's not a little baby anymore. I think Miss Cindy is fine unless you're not comfortable with it.
And it feels too young, and that she's fine. She calls me mom. Hey, mom, she's
right.
Fine. And aw, Molly. I am happy that she has friends.
Is Molly your friend?
Molly's my friend, and I'm happy that I have Molly. Molly,
Miss Molly. What does she call Molly?
She was Miss Molly, yeah.
Okay. See, and you don't think that's too young, right?
No, maybe I'm overthinking it, which
I think you might be.
Let me think about that a little bit more, because
have another glass of 19 hands, whatever it is. 14 hands. How many hands are there? 20 hands?
It's 19 crimes. 19 crimes. I had 14 hands.
14 hands and 19 crimes. Okay. Yeah. I've never been good with numbers. Okay.
That's why you're in PR, right?
Exactly.
I like people. I like talking to people.
And I've been reading a lot lately, a lot of these newsletters I've been getting about people want, now that they're spending money and that the economy was kind of churning in the right direction again. Is there really a need for marketing, and what exactly is marketing? And you would think after all this time, people would do you have, if somebody were to ask you, your elevator pitch for what we do in public relations marketing, what would you say?
In public relations and marketing, it's about getting your story out and maximizing your exposure so that people know who you are and what you offer, and they know what to expect. So having a solid PR and marketing effort in place during good times means that you're going to prosper in the bad times. If you're just launching things when times are tough, you're going to have a much harder time to gain that trust. Now's the time to build the trust, build that momentum. Now, do you need to do like $30,000 a month in advertising? No, but dropping a few grand into public relations and getting a strong media approach out there, this is a really smart time to do that and tell your story. We never know when a crisis is going to happen. So if you build that trust, right?
Right.
What if there's an outbreak in your office? What if someone has a car accident? What if there's a cybersecurity breach? What if, there's a million unknowns? What if a hurricane hits? And
bite your tongue.
But all of these factors
Right.
are going to go into it. And if you've built up some trust beforehand, you're going to fare a lot better after these events, because they all come and they come consistently, right? That's life, isn't it?
That's life. Absolutely.
I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you.
No, you.
I wanted to take a sip.
I mean, COVID coming up, you've been nursing your husband with his knee replacement, but now you can't go in with him. So, you've got to sit outside, and that's just life right now. And people think that we've gone back to some sort of normalcy, but whatever snowball we're riding right now, right? It's building momentum. Eventually that snowball is going to wear down, and it's a cycle. That's just the way life goes.
And I just wrote something about the workforce, about whether or not the office life that we all knew at one time is ever going to be as it was. I'm thinking it's not, at least not for the next couple of years. I'm thinking remote and hybrid employment is just the wave of the future. And I think a lot of people prefer it. I don't know if a lot of technical companies, I think, are saying, okay, it's about time. I've spent all this money for fabulous office space. I want to bring my employees back. But it's just, that's another thing that's just, I don't know when or if it'll ever be the same.
One of the things that struck me the most, and the article that Vicky's talking about is going to come out in Wednesday's edition, Wednesday, August 25th of the Southwest Florida 100. And so you dropped some really interesting statistics about how millennials especially will quit a job if it doesn't hit that work-life balance. And you don't have flexibility, and you're not going to give me the ability to work from home. See ya. I'll find someone that does. That says volumes.
It really does.
How are we going to fill service work, right? The
$1 million question. Yeah. But in the story that I wrote, they're looking to teenagers. Believe it or not, there's more teens being hired at this point in time than there has been in, I don't have my statistics in front of me, so I don't want to be incorrect, but in a long, long time.
Yeah. Oh, Gen Z is coming onto the market and getting jobs and getting out of college and such. So it's a whole new world for them, and they're not geographically constrained. So, our parents went to a job, went to the factory, stayed there for 20, 30 years. And now our kids are going to be like, 3-month contract. That's fine with me.
Right. 3 months. Are you kidding me?
3 months. And then I'm going to take a month off. Gotta go work on my scuba diving. Gotta go to Malaysia.
Is that what your daughter wants to do? Does she want to travel a lot? She's very focused. I mean, she wants to be a prima ballerina. She's probably wanted that since when? She was a baby?
4.
She could walk, really? So she knew that, what she wanted to do at the age of 4? That's unbelievable.
I don't think she knew what she wanted to do, but I will tell you that it was just before her 4th birthday, and I took her in for her first ballet class, and I said, listen, I'm not trying to force her in. I know she's young. If she can't focus, if this isn't the right thing, we'll leave. And my little 4-year-old, bouncing around everywhere else, had laser beam focus as soon as the ballerina, her ballet mistress was teaching class, and laser beam focus on this woman. And I said, well, look at that. I've got a dancer. Look at that.
Tiny dancer, Elton John. Back to the concerts. He goes full circle of life.
I will tell you, I have heard the song Tiny Dancer every day the past week. I'm not sure where it came from. Yeah, and I just crank it up because I love it.
Are you playing it in your home, or what are you listening to?
It's on the car. It's on the everything channel. Yeah. Yeah, little Elton John. I love it. I've always called it Tiny Dancer. So,
have you ever seen Elton John in concert?
No, but
he's got his farewell tour. You've got chances coming up.
If I can, I'll be there. I don't know though. The last event that I was at that had over 100 people in it, I wasn't nervous when we walked in because I didn't think it was going to be that big, but then 100 people came in and I was like, mask. Well, someone came down with COVID at it, and I just, I'm still a little skeevy. Even though we were traipsing around New York riding the subway, I'm still a little skeevy of COVID. So,
well, I have a friend who he's a businessman. I don't know. He has no scientific proof, but he seems to think that it's going to get really bad in October. It's going to peak, and then we'll all get better. Maybe everybody will be vaccinated by then. Who knows? But like I said, no scientific proof. He just insists that next summer will be a different summer than we had this summer. And aren't we all hoping that that is true?
Oh, please. Yes. Yes.
The only thing it's really weird not driving. I'm trying to think of all the weird things that we haven't done other than not being able to see family and friends and the way we're working. But since we all work from home, or so many of us do, I have put 0 miles on my car.
Saving a lot of money in gas.
I don't think I filled up my tank for the past, the last time I filled up was maybe a month and a half ago. I'm serious. I haven't driven that far.
And, my other thing is delivered groceries.
I've never done that yet.
Whole Foods, baby. Whole Foods. They deliver, and it's fantastic.
You'll do that forever? That's just part of your life now?
I have been in a grocery store like 5 times in the past year. And yeah. And, quick buys here and there. It's not that I hate shopping. It's that I genuinely hate having to walk around people so much and be like, oh, don't touch, you're kind of dodging people. It was very stressful, especially when you're shopping and there's a bunch of older people there and you just think, oh, I want to protect them. I don't know. I guess COVID mentality has got me. So it was very
get produce, because I would think I want to look at the tomato. I want to pick the tomato that I like. You know what I'm saying? So in my head, I'm thinking, well, there's just if I was getting a box of cereal or some canned goods, yeah, I could get that delivered. But if it came to produce, I always thought I would need to see it. You don't?
I would say 75-80% of the time it's spot on.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish they would have picked something a little more ripe, but for the most part, it's good. I actually really get most of my produce from a farmer's market, and I've bought into a CSA, so I'm buying direct from the farmer, and I get these heirloom tomatoes that are like so sweet.
Yeah.
And you could just eat it like an apple. So yeah, that's my That's my love is the farmer's produce and the farmer's
Love farmers market. Yes. For those of you just tuning in saying, what the heck are they talking about? PRosé today had some technical difficulties and our guest wasn't able to click and join us. So we're going to do our best to get her back on next Tuesday, but just couldn't make that happen today. But are you reading any books right now? I know you finished Mary Kay Andrews' book.
You
What are
know,
you reading?
I am testing a cookbook.
Yeah, another one? What kind?
This is Vietnamese comfort cooking. And I think we're going to try and get her on to the show in a few weeks. But she has Vietnamese recipes that are very down home, earthy, just simple recipes with some vegan options. And so I've got it printed. I am always
Eat the
forgetting.
vegan forever. But I'm realizing there are some pretty tasty vegan items. I, on the other hand, I've been reading a lot of fiction books. I've been just in my spare time when I've been taking care of Mike and I have to wait for him in PT. I'm reading Golden Girl right now. I really think you should read it. Did you ever read The Lovely Bones? Do you remember that book?
Mm-mm.
And I know you were more on technical books and business books. It was a book. What I loved about The Lovely Bones was the author's perception of heaven. And in Golden Girl, the author has a new perspective of what heaven is like. And I absolutely love it. How you can talk to the angels and you can see your loved ones and you can have, I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's absolutely fantastic. I love that. I read the plot. A lot of people were telling me, oh, the plot is really good. It's a psychological thriller. I kind of figured it out early, so I hate when that happens. And another book that everybody's talking about too is I always just call it the Hell book. It's like the Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell, I think. It's really, really good too. I think you would love that book. So there's a lot of great books out there, and that's what we're here to do, is to talk about a lot of books that we've been reading, whether it's because of COVID or you've just been a bookworm your entire life. And I've been bringing Cindy over to the dark side of fiction, and she's making me read more books about business and more books about vegan cooking, which I'll believe it.
It's good for your heart. It's good for your heart and your cholesterol.
Is the grill on yet, honey? Do we have the steaks ready? When's the last time you had meat?
Yesterday.
Okay, you did?
Yeah, I'm not 100% vegan. I'm 90% vegan because my daughter is, but
And what made her vegan? How did she just read about it and think a plant-based diet is better for you, which I'm sure it is?
She is a very empathic child, a very empathic person, and she just like had that moment of killing animals isn't right, and she wanted, it's a political statement that killing animals isn't right, and it turns out it has a lot of health benefits for her, given some of our family history. And so a doctor even confirmed and said, the doctor said a vegetarian diet's better, but going to vegan's not a bad option for her. And so it really is a political statement. It wasn't about health, and she'll be the first one that says, I'm driving by KFC and going, it smells so good, but no, bad animals. And I've always raised her to be, if you have a belief, take a stand for something, take a stand for anything. And if she's going to take a stand for animal rights, by God, take a stand for animal rights. You know, there's a lot worse things that they could be doing in life. And so anyway, I just explored it with her and I said, go for it. Do what you can.
But just let mommy have her happy meal every once in a while.
Every once in a while, mama needs a steak. So, or a piece of salmon. I love salmon.
Okay, so in the future, we are going to be talking to, and this book, I think you gave me an excerpt of the Vietnamese book. She's Australian, right?
Oh, yes. I love it because you look at her and you're like, wow, she's an Asian person. And then she's got a fun Australian accent. And I was just pulling up the book here so I can give her a little plug.
Love.
Yeah. So the book is Eat Like a Vet. Okay. Eat Like a Vet. And the recipes look phenomenal. And so I'm so excited to give this a try and let you know that these will be taste tested by vegan people who are modifying potentially a couple of things. But I think this is going to be really good. And we're looking forward to seeing Jenny Lamb.
And hopefully next week, if she's available, we will be able to talk with Myra McElhaney, the author of several books, including Building a Life You Love After Losing the Love of Your Life. So we thank you if you stuck by us today. We apologize again for the technical difficulties. We'll have everything straightened out next week for PRosé every Tuesday at 4:30 happy hour with me, Vicki, that's Cindy, and just bring along your cocktail and have fun with us.
Cheers.
Join us next week for another edition of PRosé with Vicki Locke and Cindy Woolley from C2 Communications.